Alright, what's up, guys? My good friend Ray, she has uploaded another Trisha, well, this video is titled Trisha Paytas Returns to Frenemies, but yeah, another Trisha Paytas video. Yeah, Trisha Paytas. It's one of those things. I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd be kind of hesitant with bringing her back on the show if I was Ethan, but I guess if they're like good friends, you know, you learn to put like the differences aside and overall just, you know, act like, because there's even been times where people that I care for, friends, family, they've said things to me that was hurtful, and you know, just gotta let that, like, it lingers in your mind, but you gotta let that stuff go. Like, if you truly have, like, I guess love for that person, I don't know. Maybe Ethan does have love for her. Maybe he sees her as like a sister or something. He's just all like, you know, you gotta be there for family at times. But anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this video. Guys, go show love to my good friend Ray on her main channel, Hot Tea, her second channel, Ray Rahimi, and her third channel, Build Your Pocket. It's a business channel, so if you guys is like, you know, looking into knowing some things about the business world, I'm saying, you know, Ray, she knows some things, all right? And follow her on social media, Instagram. Follow her on TikTok. I'm telling you, I have been cracking up lately due to her TikTok videos. So I'm like, it's good. It's good. You know, she's like the videos and stuff. Like, it's like giving back in some sort of way. Like, it's just a day I'm like, you know what? Let me go watch a good old Ray Rahimi TikTok video. But yeah, go show her some love and support. But in that being said, let's get into this video.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Trisha's return to Frenemies after her and Ethan had a big fight last week. I've already made 2 videos on this topic, so I would highly suggest checking them out before watching this one so you guys can catch up. A lot of you commented on part 2 of the series that the Frenemies makeup wasn't covered. It was a lot of drama and videos to go through, so apologize for being behind on the tea, but also editing takes time with Trisha putting movie-long videos, you know. But anyways, we are also covering Trisha on the BFFs podcast this week. Before we get into the tea, subscribe if you enjoy the content, turn on your post notifications, and like this video. So get ready, grab a snack, and let's dive in. If you guys have not followed the Trisha/H3/Frenemies
so I don't remember liking the video, so I was just all like, did I like the video? I think I did. Now, like, that had been like eating at me throughout the whole video, and I wouldn't even be able to focus. So I'm like, I just had to check real quick. But anyways,
drama. Here is a quick recap. So Trisha and Ethan had this huge argument on one of the Frenemies episodes. It was over the constant comments Trisha jokingly threw around on the podcast, with jokingly in quotes. Comments such as, you don't even know Moses, he doesn't like you that much, or y'all are not even that close, you are not invited to the wedding. It ended up in Trisha storming out, her making multiple videos, and Ela and Ethan of H3 talking about it in one of their After Dark lives. Trisha apologized to Ela and Ethan and vice versa. However, you know Trish, a living contradiction. And through her multiple videos talking about everything, she also kept on attacking them more while claiming she's apologizing and speaking her truth. A lot of people think it's poor communication on both of their ends, and also that Ela's brother Moses, who's Trisha's boyfriend, is playing a broken phone, and because of him, all of the misunderstandings took place. And this whole mess is a family issue at the end of the day, more than just petty drama on the internet. So, what's new? Well, on this week's episode of Frenemies, Trisha returned. Dr. Drew was also there, and if you don't know a lot about Dr. Drew, he's been on shows like Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant. A lot of people were really disappointed that he was so
I didn't see him on those shows. I think I seen him on Ridiculousness. I don't know. I try to watch like Teen Mom and 16 and, well, no, I think it was 16 and Pregnant. I never really watched Teen Mom. 16 and Pregnant will always come on, because I'll leave my TV on MTV late at night. And so when I wake up, 16 and Pregnant is on. I always like the little riddles that they did in the beginning of the show. Like, I don't know how they go. They were like, oh yeah, he's going to have to be around more often because I'm pregnant. Then it just leads into the theme song. I'm like, it was every intro to that TV show, bro. Like, I caught on to that, and I always, like, that was like one of the things that just kind of like made my morning. I don't know why. I love those little riddles that those guys did at the beginning of the show. But anyways,
bias towards Trisha. The comments are just flooded with, why is Dr. Drew siding so much with Trisha? Why hasn't he watched the episode episode prior to coming on the podcast and so on. People were basically outraged, and it's understandable why. Ethan and Trisha took a personality test a few weeks prior, and apparently Dr. Drew was there to analyze the results. Although when talking about what happened the week before, Dr. Drew was pretty much disregarding most of what Ethan said and took Trisha's word for it. Trisha talks about how the fight and her lashing out and calling Hila names was one of the most embarrassing things she's ever done. She mentioned that if it weren't for Ethan and Hila, if they had not called her the day before this new episode, she would not be back. She said that they worked things out behind the scenes, but some people actually think this could be a publicity stunt. You know, all of the drama to make people more invested in the podcast and to keep them on edge. I mean, allegedly, not confirmed. Don't sue me. When both Trisha and Ethan started explaining the whole situation, both kind of changed their sides to an extent. Ethan said Trisha was the one to bring up Hila in the first place. However, he was the first one to bring her up when he mentioned that Hila asked why Ethan didn't tell Trisha that she had food all over her mouth in the previous episode. Then Trisha would say that she wanted to stop the argument and just move on, but Ethan didn't stop pushing her. That is also false. Ethan would ask Trisha to move on plenty of times. She would say yes, and a second later, she would continue to have a go at him. Trisha also talks about how she didn't think much of the jokes she made as offensive, since no one would tell her which parts were edited.
No one told me. Hila didn't tell me she had a problem with it. Ethan didn't tell me someone had a problem with it. Moses, no one told me that this was an actual severe problem that's so severe.
Hila was always talking to Moses like, you have to not stop doing it.
She thought that her jokes were okay since no one confronted her directly, which I guess is a fair point, though I don't think many people take such jokes lightly since the people mentioned in them are not public figures. But moving on, Ethan then tries to explain where the problem is coming from.
So here's where the problem comes in. Trisha comes on the show and she frequently repeats stuff that Moses tells her. For example, Trisha will say, Moses doesn't even like you guys anyway.
He talks about the misunderstandings that possibly come from Moses telling one thing to Hila and another to Trisha.
She goes, Moses' mom, he's not very close with her and she wouldn't be invited to our wedding. She always says stuff like that, that I feel like is driving a wedge between Moses and his family.
And then Dr. Drew completely disregards the involvement of Moses in the whole situation, says, okay, I've heard enough. Then Ethan insists that it's important to explain to him where he is coming from.
When Hila asks Moses about it, Moses says, I didn't say that.
That's actually not important. But
okay,
hey,
it's not important.
Relax.
Now, mind you, Dr. Drew stated that he didn't watch the infamous episode prior to coming on the podcast, which means he doesn't have an actual perspective of what happened.
You would think, cause yeah, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna be on these guys' show, I will watch like, you know, previous things or just at least something to like a hot tea video. I mean, I will watch something. I'm not just gonna go into it blind and things like that's just. I don't understand that. Like, yeah, that's that's weird.
Which is pretty important, since Trisha's condition was for the episode to be unedited. Dr. Drew then says, fine, go ahead, and shortly after he responds with, it's not that important, relax. And maybe this is the point where the majority of the viewers say that they feel like Dr. Drew was very much biased towards Trisha and completely ignoring Ethan's side of things. And obviously, you would want him to be as objective as possible, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
Here
bro, you need to watch the episode.
Ethan doesn't have to be able to handle everything. He's not a therapist, he's a friend. Imagine going to a therapist and they cut you off and say that's not important while you're trying to explain.
I know, that's crazy.
Really disappointed in Dr. Drew. He didn't even do his homework and totally disregarded Ethan, who kept trying to get to the bottom of things. No more Dr. Drew. Afterwards, Dr. Drew started talking about splitting behaviors and how Trisha has tendencies to do that. He also says that Ethan's job is to completely ignore that and that he is the one that drives the wedge between them. That Ethan shouldn't take offense to what Trisha is saying in these moments.
You are allowing the wedge to be put into place. She is doing what she does. She is doing her splitting thing, and your job is to go,
And Ethan tries to explain himself by saying that he doesn't really
no. I'm like, my thing is, because that's why I'm like, you gotta like ask him. I'm like, okay, well, what would you do in my situation? Like, I understand, you know, you trying to, you know, do your doctor thing right here, but I'm like, I just know. I'm like, I feel like you don't just say to when somebody's talking about, like, you know, your parenting. I feel like that's kind of like hitting below the belt right there. There's like certain things that you just don't say to a person. And I'm like, you don't just be like, like, That I feel like with like doing that, my thing is that when you do that to a person, because that's something that I've done myself, is when like I remember there was this like neighborhood mom, she was yelling at one of my friends, and I was like, I just kept saying like doing that, and it just seems like it will fuel that person up, especially if they're not fully there. So I'm like, okay, you're doing that to Trisha. She's just going to think that, oh, that's okay. I'm like, no, it's not okay. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, none of this stuff that she's doing is okay. So, like, you as a doctor should be... Yeah, I'm like, I think that he's trying to use that method himself. And I'm like, dude, it's not working. I'm like, you're a doctor. You're supposed to be getting to the bottom of things and fixing things. Like, come on now.
Take offense to the things that she says, even her parenting comments. But because the situation is a bit more personal and it causes real problems in their family, he thinks it should be discussed. Specifically about Moses, since the broken phone situation comes from him. Like, even if Trisha goes into these bad episodes due to mental illness, there may have been many situations where she should not have a pass just because of mental health. Some of the things she said were really nasty, and even if Ela and Ethan didn't take them personally, still you can't just give her a pass about that.
Exactly.
Clearly, they have not ended the podcast, which they've joked about plenty of times. Trisha and Ethan seem to have a very entertaining dynamic when it's not going overboard, and people like it. However, better boundaries should be set for sure, and both sides should communicate things better behind the scenes.
It's gonna be a day.
And all of them need to confront Moses.
It's gonna be a day where Ethan, he just loses it. Like, they're gonna be like, yo, that man, he's had enough. Like, he can't deal with it no more. That's gonna be like the big news of YouTube. Like, Ethan, he loses it. Like, he just goes crazy and he just snaps on everybody.
A lot of people in the comments were like, you should have had him and Ela as well. But after the whole discussion, Dr. Drew and Dr. Young went through their personality tests and talked about them and what they mean. Apparently, Trisha is very narcissistic and Ethan is not at all. What do you think about this episode of Frenemies? Should they keep doing the podcast? Do they need to have a total reset and hold Moses accountable? Tell me what you think. And now, let's talk about Trishas' appearance.
I personally think that she, like I've been saying, she just needs a break until, like, you know, she goes out, seeks help, you know, fixes whatever she needs to get fixed. And, overall, just, you know, start a new life. Like, you know, become like Trisha Paytas 2.0 or like positive Trisha Paytas or something. I don't know what to, you know, necessarily call it, but I just think it's one of those things where I'm like, hey, you need a break from the internet because, you know, you've been going at it for a little bit too long. That stuff can kind of get to you at times. So, yeah, it's like, you know, just relax a little bit, take a break, and come back and, you know, have like a podcast where it's like arguing and fighting and saying comments about each other. It's just not a thing unless it's in a joking way. But yeah, you know, just take a break.
The BFF's podcast. She mainly talks about how she got famous on YouTube, which mainstream media shows she has been on, and mainly her recent drama and scandal for the past few years. Trisha also talks about her on Frenemies, about her relation to Ethan from H3, and other brief topics were Trisha's fixation with Jewish people, the toilet paper scandal, the Vlog Squad drama, her OnlyFans, and how she monetizes pretty much everything. Oh, and her opinion on particular YouTubers, specifically the D'Amelio sisters, David Dobrik, Jeffree Star, James Charles, and Shane Dawson. Trisha expressed that she is very much not a fan of James or the D'Amelios and explained the beef briefly. She was very quick to judge.
Like, not a fan of them, but you out here watching their videos. I'm positive she's probably like watching their videos just in case they like say anything or do anything and stuff, but I would have loved to see. That's what I'm like, I wish I was there. I think that's probably like, that's like God. He just doesn't put me in certain situations, because hands down, if I had been there, I'd definitely have been asking her, like, at least the question that I would have wanted to know, you know, an answer to is, yo, so what's up with that hot tea situation? You know, like, that's, I'm like, I feel like I need to, if I ever do meet Trisha Paytas, or I highly doubt that she'll do an interview on my podcast, but yeah, that would be a question I would like to. I'm like, so what was up with that? You know, this just a certain person in this world. She paid you $500. You didn't do anything about it, like, or you didn't overall like give her a shout out, or you know what the Patreon thing was supposed to, you know, give out and things. So yeah, I'm like, what's up with that? Because you know, kind of friends with that person. So yeah, I would say that that's not cool, because I know if that were to be me and I were to get scammed out of $500, I think I probably went crazy a little bit. I definitely would have. There've been a couple of wires in my head. I would have heard them snap, and I've been like, yeah, it ain't gonna be healthy for anybody to, you know, say anything about anything right now. So, but anyways.
James called Charlie and Dixie talentless and with no personality. Based on what exactly, Trisha? You judge people on their character, yet you know nothing about them. How does that work? Oh, and Trisha barely acknowledged Shane's stuff. But as we know, Trish, she's pretty one-sided, and the hosts called her out on her judging James and Shane differently. She doesn't know the character of one and is ready to cancel him, yet she is quick to defend Shane on, you know, his drama. Like, she's very much allowed to have opinions, but if she's gonna say who she thinks should be canceled, maybe she should hold people to the same standards. And Trisha called people like Nikita Dragon unproblematic. Said Tana Jake Paul shouldn't be canceled? Girl, what? And what are your thoughts on this? Is Trisha judging people rightfully so, or
well, she knows, like, I think she knows, like, people will talk about it, so of course, you know, say and do whatever to just, you know, be a part of, you know, the internet.
Opinions too biased. Let me know in the comments down below. Also share your opinion on her return to Frenemies. How do you feel about it? Thank you guys so much for watching this video.
I think she needs
Please
a break.
Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I post new videos every single week. Alright, bye.
Yeah, she definitely needs a break from the internet. What's this all about? It's like how Gabby Hanna... And people still be hating on her for no reason. I'm like, dang, leave Gabby Hanna alone. She ain't did nothing to nobody, but... Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I'm like, I know if there's somebody like that, that carries on like Trisha Paytas, I'm just that person where I'm like, I don't want to be bothered with them. I'm like, they decide to be bothered with me. I'm like, hey, look, you need to go and seek help. I'm like, I'm not going to be bothered with you if you're going to be carrying on like this. It's like, you're 30-something years old carrying on like a child. I'm like, yeah. You need to, it's okay to have, like, my thing is, like, her personal opinions and all that stuff, keep it to yourself, you know. If you get asked about it, you get asked about it, but be prepared for what's to come afterwards. But when you go out and throw these, like, you know, Trisha Paytas moments, like, all the card, like, yeah, it's one of those things, I'm like, just doesn't need to happen. So it's like, you get mad at somebody, it's like, over small things. Like, to me, what she got mad over with Gila and Ethan, that's small stuff. To me, that's something I'm like, oh, okay, you know, if these people don't want to be bothered with me, I'm not going to be bothered with them. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, it's I just think it's one of those things, you know, she's, like I said, she needs a break from the internet and just relax. But anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys go subscribe to my good friend Hot T on her main channel, of course, Hot T, Ray Rahimi, and her business channel, Build Your Pocket. Follow her on TikTok. Follow her anywhere else on social media. And yeah, like and subscribe to me also. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.